The Rotary Club of Kings Cross is now in session. I want to remind you that this is a recorded session, and I want to thank everyone for their wonderful attendance tonight, for the memorable visit of our District Governor Jeremy Wright. The first order of business, just to run us through what's going, the order of run sheet tonight. We will have our toast to Rotary International given by our longtime Rotarian Ray Aiken, a response to that toast by our past district governor and club member Judith Ward. Then our secretary, board member, and coordinator of club services, Pete Marzak, will be giving a brief introduction to the club. And then, of course, our address by our District Governor Jeremy Wright, followed by a thank you and the four-way test by Ken Pattison. So let me begin the evening by welcoming all of our guests and recognizing our District Governor Jeremy Wright. Jeremy, we're delighted to have you for your formal visit after that last informal visit, the early part of August, where we had an opportunity to get to know you. I'd also like to welcome our Assistant District Governor, Rick Vasilla. Rick, it's always great to have you, and thank you so much for nurturing our club and keeping us well nurtured and well looked after. We're very, very appreciative of that. I would also like to recognize a past Assistant District Governor and club member, Chris Benecki, who is now the Innovation and Change Director for the district. So that's a big responsibility that he is taking on. We're always delighted to have Chris join us, which he does on a regular basis, but he's in the new position now of being both an Innovation and Change Director. And I'm also looking for, and do not see David Matruro, but David's usually with us. Good evening to the rest of you club members. And I'd like to start the evening by asking each of you if you would be so kind as to mute yourself so that there's no bleed through from other sounds around you. And if you do want to be recognized, simply go in and raise your hand, and we'll, of course, recognize you in due course. So I'd like to start the evening with a toast to Rotary International, and I've asked our longtime Rotarian and good friend Ray Aiken if he would raise that toast to Rotary International. Ray?
Good evening, Thomas. The toast this evening is to Rotary International. This toast is to the Rotary International, to the board, and more than 1.2 million Rotarians around the world. We wish Rotary continued success at a time when Rotary support and services in so many fields and a need to so many people of the world. It is all-time high. Rotary International.
Shall we all to Rotary International?
Rotary
International.
Now, Rick has the best looking drink. Vote on drinks. Well, there's a bit of good booze around there somewhere.
Thank you for that very inspiring toast, Ray. I'm greatly appreciative of that. I'd like now to invite a response to that toast by our past district governor and club member, Judith Ward. Judith, would you say a few words in response to that, please?
Yes, thank you very much, President Thomas. Thank you, Ray, past President Ray, for your toast to Rotary International, and greatly appreciated. And for our new members, I'd just like to tell you some little thing about Rotary International. Rotary International is the umbrella under which all Rotary clubs act. And our Rotary clubs are all members of Rotary International. So we Rotarians are members of our club, and our club is a member of Rotary International. So with that, I think we'd like to go on with the proceedings. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you, Judith. It's always good, I think, to follow protocol and to follow tradition. And I want to thank both Ray and Judith for participating in the long tradition of a toast to Rotary International. Great. Moving on, I'd like now to call on our Secretary, Board Member, and Coordinator of Club Services, Pete Marzak, to give just a brief introduction to the club and summary for our district governor to sort of help him frame his comments in the light of where our club is. Pete?
Sure thing. Well, thank you, Thomas, and welcome everybody tonight. I'm not going to spend too much time in too much detail, but I just want to touch on 3 points that you would have seen in our strategic plan. A little bit about how the club is evolving, a little bit about a theme of transparency, and some of the work that we're really starting to get our teeth into in terms of our community service appeal. So you'll be very familiar with the focus that COVID is having on the club. And I really want to touch base on the financial side of things, that the way the club is evolving. I suppose if we look at it holistically, it's kind of going from a more membership barbecue kind of base way of raising funds. But what we're really starting to see is the evolution towards particularly around DGR status, detectable gift registration status, and what that might mean for us going forwards. And the work that Thomas has been doing, the work that a couple of the other board members have been doing around that space to really enable us to reach out to things like corporate sponsors to be able to get that DGR kind of status from that, to be able to be more online and facilitate some of that online fundraising that we've seen. I think that's a really powerful evolution from where we are, and it's really opening up the impact that we can have as a club by having really solid financial backing to be able to do more impact for the community. So that's one big bit that I'll really kind of focus on, and obviously this is a slow and steady pace that we're going through. This isn't just a big kind of project. We want to make this sustainable. We want to make this lasting, and we want to make it more impactful and easy for people in the community as well as us as members. So that's point number one. I think the second point that I think I'm really hearing from the way we're working as a board, as well as from the members, is around transparency. And there's a couple of points that really come to light around that. I think the work that David Columbro has been doing around getting our Zero up to speed, which is the core of our financial side, is really going to make that treasury role so much simpler. I think most of you by now would have received your invoices for your dues. That's all done automatically nowadays. So you can jump on, you can click that button, pay that membership dues through your credit card. Really simple, really easy, and not just for the club, but also for yourself, and kind of keeping track of that. The other level of transparency is, and again, I'll send this link out to everybody as well. We've created a share drive where everybody in the club can see things like the board meetings, the agendas, what we're doing here. So again, that's a high level of transparency that we want to give to the members. And third and finally, I think it's a bit of a passion project for me is around what we're doing in terms of our events. And again, I really want to do a big call out to Dale and to Warwick around the projects that they've already started kicking off. Around the Wayside Clothes Drive, around what we're doing with Lou's Place, what we're doing about Rough Edges and things like that. And the theme there is really about reaching out to Wayside, reaching out to Lou's Place and going, what do you want from us? How can we support you? And kind of really understanding where those needs are in the community and then fulfilling that need, rather than necessarily the club kind of going, oh, we need to do X, Y, Z, and essentially pushing it out to them. So I think that's a really powerful message that's starting to come through, especially in this space of community services, by really understanding those needs. So there's a big appeal that we're doing at the moment around what we're calling a Rotary appeal, which I think if I remember correctly, it's around giving 100 hoodies away, and as well as 600 kind of hygiene care packages to the homeless in King's Cross. an amazing initiative that we know will impact so many lives out there. But again, it's kind of Rotary kind of being that enabler to asking what they need from us rather than the other way around. So that's a little bit about how the club's evolving, a little bit about kind of transparency from the financial side, as well as what the board is doing through the share drives, as well as things around being really needs-based when it comes to running our activities. And I suppose the sweetener on this then is, I hope everyone's had the chance to jump onto our website and really see how much that's changing in terms of the idea of, we've got a donate now button. If we want to run a campaign, we can just click that button. It's really easy to do that. You can see the work that David and Ken are coming around, really organizing the events. We can see who's coming up, register now. Maybe you've got a friend who would really love to get involved in the club. Invite them along next week to hear from Bridget and I around what we do, how Rotary helps us. Or maybe there's something that we want to do around, Mental Health Day. We can get them along. You can share that with your network. So that's a real kind of epicenter of bringing this all together. So that's a little bit of an overview around how we're progressing with our strategic plan. But I really kind of want to turn back to, I suppose, this last little bit here and the commitment that ourselves as a board, as well as Tom, has made to our Rotary citation goals. Tom, did you want to kind of have a quick 30-second overview on your thoughts around this?
Well, these Rotary citation goals, of course, are my call as the president about what goals I would like to see our club achieve for the Rotary year. There were 20, if I remember correctly, 25 or 26 possible goals. And I chose the goals that I thought were the most significant in terms of our club, not necessarily the goals that were the easiest to achieve, but that the goals that I thought were the most significant to our club. And I want to thank each one of our club members as well as our board, because I think that we have made a very, very significant good start out of the blocks in terms of achieving our citation goals. If you look on the left there, I've got 2 goals already, in a sense, implemented, and I've got at least 4 other there that you will see are in progress. I want to also state that the first one, the new club members goal, Ken Pattison, our membership chairman, has got, I believe at this time, anywhere from 6 to 9, depending on how you count people in the pipeline. And we are not letting up because of COVID. We view this as being some long-term changes which are made. And even though we'll go back to face-to-face, the changes that we've made in our club administration reflected by these citation goals, we view as a permanent, ongoing iteration and certainly a challenge. So thank you, Pete, for your wonderful discussion. And Rotarians and club members, I'd like you just to look at those citation goals, bear them in mind, because we will be referring to them on a regular basis throughout the Rotary year. So thank you, Pete. I really, really do appreciate that update. Having said that, and right on schedule, I would next like to turn to, once again, our past District Governor, Judith Ward, to introduce our present District Governor, Jeremy Wright. So Judith, would you be kind enough again to make your beautiful face known and shown?
Thank you, Thomas. You are too kind. And it's a great privilege for me to be able to introduce tonight District Governor for District 9675, Jeremy Wright, AM. Now, to introduce Jeremy to the club doesn't really seem necessary, because we had a wonderful visit with Jeremy just some weeks ago, and we learned a lot about Jeremy and those wonderful things that we learned about him, especially those things that stay in my mind are the fact that Jeremy and his lovely wife, Marilyn, launched the Red Nose Day in New South Wales. And that was a campaign for the prevention of SIDS, that's infant now, wait a minute. SIDS is, tell me, Jeremy, Sudden Instant Death Syndrome, isn't it? That's right. Yes. And also from 2004, you were the founding chief executive of MS Research, raising $25 million over 9 years. That is absolutely fabulous, Jeremy. And it is with great pleasure that I introduce you to the Rotary Club of King's Cross. Once again, welcome to the Rotary Club, and we look forward to hearing what you're going to say on your very official visit. Thank you so much.
Judith, thank you. And too much of Rotary King's Cross is never enough. I'm very happy to be back. I'm very happy to be back, and I'm delighted that I've got my wife with me, Marilyn, this time round. So I don't think she was available last time we made a visit to your club, albeit via Zoom. But Judith, thank you for that introduction, and lovely to see you again. And it's great to be amongst friends. And Ray, a great toast. Thank you for the toast for the club and for Rotary International. And it's terrific to have Rick here. Rick is a great AG, as you guys know already. And lots of other friends, Chris and Ines, great to see you. And where is David? Where is David Maturo? I'm missing him. I see him on some of the other, but please give him a hard time or fine him a lot for not being here. Okay. So look, thank you for having me. And firstly, let me congratulate Thomas for taking on the presidency for this year. And to all your new board, congratulations and thank you for the very important, taking on the very important governance of your club. And Pete, you outlined a number of aspects of your strategic plan, which involve really terrific governance. Congratulations. The club is in really good hands this year, as it has been in the past, but it's in really good hands. Let me start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land that I'm speaking from. And I'm in Murrumarang land, which is part of the Yuin Nation, which is well south of Sydney at the moment. And I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. And I'd like to talk tonight about where we're going as a district. And as you know, I'm only the district governor for 1 year. So the question is, what can I do in just 1 year? It's already a quarter gone, by the way. And the answer is not much, but I'm really pleased to say that my successor, Janice Hall, who you might know about already, is keen to continue many of the initiatives that we've started, initiatives that include innovation and change, which is Chris Bernanke's role in the district, which I'm pleased to say, and he's moving the district into a change mode. Chris, and I'll come back to that a little bit later tonight. But the innovations are starting this year. Some started last year with Warwick Richardson. So if they're going through with Janice Hall next year, really what I'm talking about for the district aspirations are really 3 and 4 and 5 year plans, which I'm pleased to say, have sustainability. So I must say it's fantastic working with you as one of the strong district clubs to make Rotary stronger, and that's really important as part of the district plans. And even more relevant and enjoyable and satisfying, it makes it really more enjoyable and satisfying in terms of what we do. So let me talk about what's going to be the same in the district, and then what's going to be different. And Chris could probably tell you about a lot of things that are changing. But what's the same, and I hope you agree, is really a commitment from your club and other clubs around the district, the commitment to community service. And we have this great theme, Serve to Change Lives, which to my mind is a very appropriate theme and quite inspirational. And I must say, I congratulate King's Cross for setting the standard here. I've known you guys for a number of years, and I've known a number of projects you've been doing, both overseas and locally, and even what Peter talked about in terms of the Wayside Chapel, the relationship you have with that. The projects overseas in Africa, I believe that you've undertaken. And I applaud what you've already done. There's a myriad of local and international projects that your club's quite famous for. And I believe you've also been involved, Thomas mentioned to me that you've also been involved in Australian Rotary Health Aboriginal scholarships. And we are looking at more ways to engage with our Aboriginal communities, which I applaud, and I'll come back to in a minute. So in many great respects, you are staying the same in terms of your commitment to community service, and that's really appreciated. And I'm proud that the district is also doing great initiatives, possibly following your footsteps to some extent, especially in COVID, given that we're in the midst of a COVID crisis. But the care packages that you're providing are fantastic. There are other clubs doing similar things. They're promoting vaccinations to groups that can't speak English, providing meals that for those who are stuck, and there are more opportunities coming up. There's childcare that is required, and maybe Rotary might help that area. There's childcare required for those people who have COVID. I got a bit of competition here. Is there someone without their mute on?
You'll need to mute Ray, somebody.
Yeah, Ray Aiken needs to be muted.
Yeah.
Oh no, don't mute Ray. He's a good bloke.
Well, we have.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So we're doing a number of these things. I'm happy to say and proud to say, as we all should be as Rotarians, in the district, care packages, promoting vaccinations, the other things I mentioned. There's a need for childcare, I mentioned. There's also a need, would you believe, and you'll understand this, for pet care for people who are isolating. We might get onto a few more campaigns for COVID, but that's the Rotary way. And as you know, we are involved in a lot of other international projects that the district, we should be proud of, in Timor-Leste, in Nepal, in Fiji, in the Philippines, and we have this wonderful centenary project you might know about, 100,000 vaccinations in the South Pacific nations, which is led by our district with the help of the district in Melbourne. Also staying the same this year is our ongoing commitment to youth activities, and some of them have to be virtual. But Ryla, we hope is going to go ahead face-to-face in January as a camp, and you might have some young people you might like to nominate for that. National Youth Science Forum has gone ahead virtually, and we've just done the interviews for next year. MUNA is going ahead. That's the Model United Nations. A number of youth programs. We're even talking about, would you believe, virtual youth exchange, because we can't have youth exchange people going back and forth internationally at this stage. So we're not going to be constrained by COVID at this stage. And our vocational service activities are continuing. And we have a vocational service excellent award, which again, Chris Badaki knows more about, and he'll probably give you more details in the coming months. And we had a terrific Rotary Inspirational Women's Award event on Saturday. Judith, it was terrific, wasn't it? And there were some amazing people who won. They were all not expecting to win. We had tears, we had emotions, all on Zoom, and we had about 150, 160 people watching. It was terrific. So those things are staying the same and growing. And of course, the other thing that's staying the same is Polio Plus. And we are still vaccinating in Afghanistan, despite the massive changes in that country. I'm reassured by our Rotary colleagues that our relationship with the Taliban is such that we can still continue that project. Another thing that's staying the same is the great fellowship we all enjoy within our great clubs like yours and across the district and across the world. And I have to say, we still have the same strong need to grow our membership. And I'm delighted that you're at the front of the wave of the aspirations and your plan to gain 6 more by the year end is something to be applauded. So what is changing? Those are the good things that are staying the same and growing. Well, what's changing is what we're going through. And what we're going through is virtual Rotary and digital Rotary, to state the obvious. But this is a big change. And the electronic medium and your engagement with the electronic revolution is fantastic. And again, your strategic plan bears this out. You've got a great plan for communications, facing out to the community and for your own members. And I can boast the district, as you've already said, has a great website. Thank you for giving it a tick. Mostly facing inward, because the district website is for all of us as the district members. It's full of information, and it's got lots of access to online learning, the district events and announcements. So let me commend it to you even further. And we are awake to social media. There was a comment a couple of weekends ago on a conference that Rotary was the original LinkedIn. So we should all be able to adapt and use this new tool. And I know that's also on your plan. And I was at a club recently and they said, oh, DGs, they come along every year and they talk about membership and fundraising. Well, I think I was challenging that club a little bit. I'm not challenging you because you've got aspirations for increasing membership. You've also got great aspirations for fundraising, which is fantastic. There are new ways to fundraise that we're learning about. There is a Raise for Rotary now, and it's like a Give Now platform, but it's owned by Rotary, and it's online fundraising platform specifically for the Rotary Foundation for Polio Plus. Let me encourage you to check it out via Google, Raise for Rotary. It's a tool, another tool for clubs like King's Cross to be able to use. There's also a number of ways, but you've talked about your aspirations for fundraising, so I won't go into it in more detail. So what else is changing also is in service, there's a new area of focus for our community activity, and that is the environment. And that's an area of opportunities that can include cleanups and tree planting and supporting community installation of solar cells, all manner of projects. And there are some new district awards that will be detailed on the website this year for those clubs involved in environmental programs. And there are 2 really good reasons to adopt the environment as a new area of focus. Number 1, it helps the planet. And the planet needs some help. Number 2, it attracts new, younger members to Rotary. And it's doing that around the district and around the world. So please consider how you might either undertake environmental projects or join with other clubs in what they're doing. And there'll be more opportunities to do that if you're looking out for that in due course. And there's a new emphasis this year on diversity and empowering girls. This comes from Rotary International President Shaker Mehta. He wants us to focus specifically on empowering girls. And while just including girls might be very appropriate in India, where Shaker Mehta comes from, and developing countries where young girls have less opportunity to reach even the end of school, but certainly in careers and so on. In our district, we're going to take it a little bit further. And we've got an ambassador, a new ambassador for empowering women and girls. That's District Governor Janice Hall. And Janice will be coming back to us with suggestions on how we can support this particular theme. With programs you might have heard like Days for Girls. There's another program called Supporting and Linking Tradeswomen, SALT, SALT, great program, addressing domestic violence. And look what happened last weekend. What happened last weekend in terms of the Rotary Inspirational Women's Award is a great example where our district is taking the lead on empowering both women and girls. And we do know that by addressing the equity issue and having more women as members and in more leadership positions, that we will help considerably, and it will be a great step forward. Let me come back to my comment about your involvement with the Aboriginal Scholarship Program, because in that way you can set the pace for addressing another area that we're addressing in the district, and that is to look at the whole area of Aboriginal disadvantage in our own patch. And we do, after all, have the biggest concentration of Indigenous people in this district than anywhere else in Australia. So we've undertaken a program of a number of Aboriginal projects, and in parallel with this, I have a partners program, and I'm wondering, who do I ask, Thomas or Peter? Can I share my screen very briefly? Peter, is that possible?
Yep, you got co-host, so you should be able to share screens.
Thank you, Peter. So I have a partners program, and let me see if I can pull this up. And it involves a program in La Perouse. Let me see if I can get this to, there it is. It's called Nala Nangamai, the Parent Group Program. This program started in La Perouse, and basically what it is, it's a combination of an Aboriginal community centre linked in with the Sydney Children's Hospital clinical support group. And what it does, it uses art to support maternal health, mental health. It celebrates culture and fosters pride, and it connects mothers and children, most importantly, to health services, and it gives that community intervention whenever it's needed for both the maternal needs of the young women in that area and the young boys and girls. In other words, from conception to the age 5, which is the most important time for neurological growth, which means it's basically supporting the growth of young kids to be at 5 able to be like successful young individuals, and it's absolutely closing the gap for the La Perouse community. So we want to help extend this model to Western Sydney, where there's the most need to assist young Aboriginal mothers and their kids in the years from conception to the age 5 to have all the opportunities that we've enjoyed. And this is going to be a partnership, and here's some photos of members of the community, and also Karen Swee. Dr. Karen Swee is the paediatrician who oversees this program in La Perouse. And Karen's aspiration is to take this to not only the western suburbs of Sydney, but to use it as a model of Aboriginal community centre combined with clinical care to support Aboriginal groups close the gap. And it's succeeding. Let me just tell you that in this particular area, nearly 500 mothers and children have participated since, would you believe, 2009. So it's a approved program. There's measurable increases in health of babies and children and in maternal and mental health. And by the way, they produce artwork at the community centre that they then sell. So look, thank you for letting me share. So the district program is aimed at taking that model from La Perouse and making it available to Western Sydney and potentially elsewhere in Australia as a model that works and works for our Aboriginal brothers and sisters. So I won't talk about that too much more, but I'd like to send Thomas more details of this program. And look, if King's Cross want to get involved as part of a district program, it would be fabulous. So back to my general sort of statement about what's staying the same and what's changing. I hope you can see in all this that we are keeping, the good things in Rotary the same and growing. And we're changing where we have to and where we need to. And I can truly say that King's Cross is really a club that is leading the change. Your strategic plan is superb. And congratulations, Thomas, your detail in terms of your citation goals, some you've achieved already, it's fantastic. I really applaud and I just appreciate you setting that standard. So to you all, congratulations for setting the standard and holding on to the wonderful fellowship in service that is what Rotary is all about. Thank you for letting me address you. I welcome discussion and questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. I would like, if possible, to make you accessible to members of our club that might have specific questions and comments, if that's okay with you.
Please do. Yeah, yes, please.
Okay, so I will open this up now to any members of the club that would like to make some comments or questions. Thank you for that wonderful address, Jeremy. Please have at it. I mean, we've got him. Let's use him. Pete, would you be so kind as to moderate this? My screen is extremely limited on an iPad, and I'm going to ask you as the Zoom host if you would moderate the Q&A, please.
Sure. Ken, you got your hand up?
Thank you. I noticed Marilyn is sitting there very supportive of Jeremy. I want to bring Marilyn into it. Lovely Marilyn. Marilyn, is this partners project that Jeremy's just outlined, is that your initiative? Is that where something you as the partner to the district governor is promoting? Is that your project?
You want the truth, Ken?
Yes.
No, it's Jeremy's project.
Okay. So what's your project? What's your project as the partner?
As you know, I'm very involved in providing breakfast for homeless people.
Yes. So you're still doing that in St. Stephen's, in Phillips, in Macquarie Street?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But each district governor chooses a project they want to get behind. And the first 2,000 days is a great project helping with the Aboriginal community.
Great. Good on you. Thank you.
Great question, Ken. Thank you. Can I also say that Marilyn is so good at raising funds and volunteers for that project, but it doesn't seem to need too much support from the district. So, but it's very similar to what you're doing with the Wayside Chapel. So, back to you. Congratulations.
I have a thought. Margaret, you've got your hand up. Mark Swain.
Hi, thanks very much, Jeremy, Marilyn. Lovely to have you again with us. I was just curious, without wanting to deviate too much, that wonderful program you have in La Perouse there. You mentioned the participation of a doctor there, and I just wondered, as a base structure for something that might be expanded into other areas, is there a base need to be able to facilitate a program like that in terms of members who might participate and what their skills might be?
Mark, yes, there is. And it's interesting because we've talked to clubs in Western Sydney about this. And as you would understand, if you have a model that sits well within one Aboriginal community, you can't guarantee it will translate exactly the same into other Aboriginal communities. So we absolutely need to engage with those communities in Western Sydney and elsewhere in New South Wales, where we want to take the program. And what's happened is that we've found other Rotarians who have links in Western Sydney. And we have the opportunity for some involvement at some stage. Can I ask, Mark, are you a clinician yourself?
No, far from it, Jeremy. Far the most profession from a clinician. I'm a town planner.
Okay.
Yeah.
A very worthy profession, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
It is a program where there is potential to engage with our Aboriginal brothers and sisters. But we've got to step back and sort out how the communities in Western Sydney might adapt the program. The doctor is actually not one doctor, but there's a number of paediatricians, doctors involved. And the trick is that they're intervening very early for different issues that might arise. So they've got social workers, they've got a dentist involved, they've got paediatricians, they've got obstetrics and gynecologist specialists, and they're giving that La Perouse community preferential treatment for specialists to see them and scheduling specialists immediately when they need them, which is terrific. And it's helping that community enormously. So the involvement of a clinical team, especially the social workers, oddly enough, is really part of the, if you like, the way to take away the disadvantage that would otherwise be there, if I can put it that way. If we can find Rotarians can help that process in western suburbs or down in the Illawarra or elsewhere where we are, all the better.
Yeah, sounds amazing. Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah.
Thomas, did you have your hand up?
I did. Jeremy, I just wanted to respond to two things that you mentioned during your address, very fine address. The first is that one of our club members, Jackie Largo, is actually the founder of a not-for-profit called Pause and Recovery. Jackie is a policewoman in our local King's Cross Command, and her organization basically looks after pets of people who are sick, injured, or who have run afoul of the law. And correct me, club members, but I think our club has been supporting Jackie's Pause and Recovery now for 3 years. And also she is or will be a recipient of our signature Pause for a Cause dog show. So we're pretty pet friendly, if that's the right word. And secondly, I certainly want to thank you for bringing to mind the fact that in our mind, lots of future projects are going to be collaborative. And we are getting our feet wet up in Kiribati. Warwick Nelson and other members of our club, we have been collaborating with several clubs in New Zealand and in Melbourne to put together a series of club initiatives in order to achieve targeted goals. So we're learning how to be collaborative as a club in terms of project administration. It's taking a little bit of time, but once again, these are core skills that we have to have to move on for the future. We see projects being more collaborative, and the La Perouse is one which, once again, we have a need in our community, but I see that need being satisfied in collaboration with other clubs and districts that can help put that mass of management and size together to make a real impact. So I want to thank you for that, and open it up once more to any other club members that might have some comments or questions. Everybody's tongue-tied and shy
Judith.
tonight.
Judith has a question.
I have a question.
Yes, Judith.
Jeremy, I'm stepping outside the district now, but do we have news from the world president to you and through you that how the Rotary world is coping with COVID-19?
Yeah, it's going to be a general statement, Judith. Thank you for the question. I'm not going to be able to tell you a lot of detail, only that around the world, what we're doing locally here is actually happening from Rotary clubs around the world. And I know that especially what you've talked about, you're doing, care packages, has been consistent in terms of all that I've heard in terms of the projects around the world. The other thing which is fascinating is that our experience from polio vaccinations apparently has set up an infrastructure that has helped in some developing countries in their vaccination services, and is going to help when vaccines, lots more vaccines get to a lot more developing countries, because it's lagging, as we all know. But apparently the polio vaccination infrastructure that we have in place is apparently being used by those developing countries where it still exists for the COVID vaccinations that are currently going to those countries or going to come to those countries. So there's a couple of things to be proud of here, which I think answers your question, I hope. Direct on the ground, club by club services, but worldwide, an effort to help the widespread vaccination of the world's population.
Right. Is there a fear that Rotary clubs will not return as they were after, well, hopefully after COVID is a distant memory?
Judith, in my contact with other districts and zones, I haven't heard that fear expressed. I have heard confidence that Rotary will survive and thrive through this. We aren't here to struggle through challenges. We're here to actually embrace challenges as an organisation, and I believe that can strengthen us, because we're here for the challenge. We're here for it, and I think that's it's certainly bolstering those clubs I know well in Australia, or districts I know well in Australia. There's no lack of confidence about Rotary in where I hear things. So thanks again for the question.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Judith. Ken, do you have a question?
Jeremy, just a week ago was the zonal conference, which I looked at on the Saturday and the Sunday. I think it was an outstanding opportunity for Rotarians, new and old, to see what's happening. Foreshadowed was the changes to some of the organisation structure. Would you just like to maybe just outline just briefly some of that? It seemed very, they will be voting in the future, and seemed very encouraging, the special Bermuda subcommittee that's been looking at that.
Yeah, Ken, you asked the interesting questions and the hard questions. I'd be happy to address that, and you and Judith and others might help me, and Rick might know more. But what we're looking at in Zone 8, now Zone 8 for Rotary is Australia, New Zealand and the South Pacific. And what we're looking at is a pilot regionalisation of Rotary. And it's something that hasn't been, if you like, announced widely, but we're looking at about a 3 to 5 year plan to make our region a more independent region that can operate, if you like, collaboratively within the region. And it might involve a reorganisation of districts, the reorganisation, Ken, that you say. But what I understand is that the committee, the Bermuda Committee, is helping the zone look at a way by which we can better work together, if you like, and I understand the background of this is for us to work together with ourselves as a tribe and as various tribes that are local. In other words, Australians and New Zealanders working a bit more together and identifying ourselves as somewhat independent area, but with regions, and the regions might be smaller clusters of clubs than we have at the moment in the district. So that's being looked at with the aim to strengthen Rotary, to increase, if you like, our tribal roots, and to attract new and younger membership. I'd welcome anybody in the room who wants to add more to that and who's been following it. But we have a representative, Judith would know, Phil White, past District Governor Phil White, is our representative in those discussions. I'd welcome other comments. Judith, if you know, if you can add anything more, Rick, if you can add anything more, those people who were at the conference.
No, not from me.
So I'd say watch this space, and Thomas, we will be providing briefings from those people who are directly involved in the discussions over the next 2 months, and you can bring that information back to King's Cross. If there are changes to our district, it will be in 3 to 5 years. So Ken, I hope that starts the discussion that you'll hear more about.
Good on you. Thank you very much. Very good. Because I think it's all good news. I think it's all good news.
Warwick, you've got a question?
Jeremy, just a question about district grants. We've got a couple in applications. We're just wondering how, how's the money box going? You've got plenty of money in there to hand out to the clubs, particularly us.
Warwick, for you anytime. I must say, I'm just very conscious of your extraordinarily long service in Rotary, Warwick, so let me acknowledge that. But to answer your question, our slightly sad story, our district grant chair's father has recently passed away, and she was about to sort that out with myself and Keith Roffey, the foundation manager, last week. So there's been a delay because there's been death in the family. I believe we're about 2 weeks away from answering that question, Warwick, and I can't predict, but I think we will probably cover most applications. It might not be to the full extent of your request, but let me suggest that you should feel confident that without referring to the list, I'm getting in dangerous territory here, but I think we're going to try and cover as many as we can. It was slightly oversubscribed, not hugely oversubscribed. I'll put it that way.
Very diplomatic. Thank you.
Very good.
Phew.
Yeah. And it is 1 minute to go. And let me say that it's always a pleasure to end on a diplomatic note. So I would be very grateful now if Kenneth would extend a warm thank you to our district governor and lead us in the four-way test to conclude the evening. And during the four-way test, I would ask everybody if they would be kind enough to mute their mic and simply follow along with Kenneth. So Kenneth, would you please extend our warm thanks, and the four-way test is up on the screen when you're ready.
Thank you, Thomas. District Governor Jeremy, we've seen you in action at district events, Bankstown and such events. We've met you in a personal sense a couple of weeks ago, and we thank you for your official visit tonight and your presentation. We value the preparation you put in. We see that you are very good at delivering very clear and a unique message of what's happening in the district. We sense you and your team are very approachable, and we value that as a club. So we thank you for enunciating so clearly tonight the direction of the district and how we fit into that. So we salute you, and we thank you very much for your presentation tonight. So I'd ask people just to put their hands together in a clap.